After 20 years of entrepreneurship, I can tell you that times will get tough. You will be challenged. The things in which you seek after and the things in which you envision and the things in which God put in your heart to accomplish will challenge you. This universe will continually ask you how badly you want the thing. So I ask you, what things are you asking for that you're not ready to receive, but yet you're frustrated that you don't yet have the thing? Because things come naturally to those who are prepared. We are all in a preparatory stage for the next thing that's coming to us. And I ask you, what is the next thing that's coming to you? Thoth and the Emerald Tablets state that the future is an open book to those that can read. Are you reading the future? Before a person can own a business that does $1 million a year, he must first own a business that does $100,000 a year. And then he has to be able to manage that successfully so that he can hold the reins for when the business does $200,000 a year. For the person who has $1 million a year business, it's almost nothing to them because it took 3 years to build it. They've been building the $1 million business. They didn't wake up and suddenly have $1 million business. They built it day by day by day. And just like that, you're never going to receive the things that you want within the blink of an eye. The things in which you want and the person that you want to become comes with day to day and moment to moment commitment and dedication. And the thing in which you're seeking and the prayer in which you're asking to be fulfilled and the vision in which you're working to achieve, it will not come easily. And it will challenge the deepest parts of who you are. And that is the purpose of a vision or a dream. And if you're not dreaming so big as to where you have to fundamentally change who you are in order to receive and achieve and have that thing, then you are not dreaming big enough. We think, again, too small. Because you may say, well, I want $1 million business, but maybe God says you should have $1 billion business, and you're spinning your wheels chasing after little bitty things when God says you're a king and not a squire. The squire is dealing with the mundane things of the kingdom. He's dealing with the horses and the cattle and the food and the schedules. The king is thinking in 1,000-year increments. The king is thinking about the next 100 years and the next 100 years and who's going to take his seat of leadership and who is he preparing to take his seat of leadership. He's thinking about expansion and territory and land and treaty deals and marketing deals and partnership deals with other countries. Where are you at in the org chart of your kingdom, and what role is it that you are playing? Because you might be playing the wrong role. The king is not out slaying dragons because only the princes are out slaying dragons, trying to prove themselves not only to themselves but also to the world. Are you still trying to prove yourself to yourself and prove yourself to this world? Because at a certain point, you stop trying to get acknowledgement about your identity of who you are from outside of yourself, and you look in the mirror and you don't even look at that. You look up at God and you say, who am I and who did you intend for me to be? At some point, you stop being the squire and you say, how do I become the queen and the king? And what kinds of things does a king and a queen focus on, think about, and do? Entrepreneurs that never go to the next level and the next level, it's because they never succeed past accomplishing, becoming who it is they need to become to beat the level that they're at. And so they spin their wheels and they stay at $100,000 a year and they never grow and they never grow. And they started their business to become a millionaire and to sell a business for $50 million or to pass it to their children. They've never built the show big enough to actually delegate it to somebody else to run. And I ask you, if you are an entrepreneur and you're building a company and you're working to build a vision, what role are you playing? And what roles are you playing? And how are you building that thing to be able to delegate to somebody else? Are you running the company in a way that somebody else can do it? Are you writing up your post Are you writing up the jobs? Are you preparing the foundation of the business to be a show that you can give to somebody else and say, hey, follow this SOP, this ABCD instructions, and you could run this company exactly like me and grow it? Have you built something, and are you building something that somebody else behind you can come up, get in, and drive? And that is the problem with most entrepreneurs. There's this TV show that I've been watching about the oil industry called Landman. And in it, the narrative is about this billion-dollar oil company that was built by this particular guy, and he was this particular kind of entrepreneur. And he dies suddenly, and his wife takes over the company, and she seemingly doesn't have the grit and the gift that the husband had to run that company. And so in the season that I'm in now on the show, she currently is running the company into the ground and taking risks that the husband wouldn't have taken, because he had it in his blood. And over and over again in the show, the characters state that the way that he ran the company was based upon his own anointing, and he built something that nobody else could do. He was a one-man show. That is not a company. That's a temporary cash income stream that will die when you die. And I ask you, if you are going after a vision and a dream to become and be something and hold something and manage something and run something, are you building that thing for other people to run? This is the trap of an entrepreneur, is that you're gifted and the thing that you do is insanely gifted and you're good at it and you're recognized and your clients recognize it. And that's why they hire you over and over and over again. But it's so unique and it's so specialized that you can't even train anybody else to do what you do. And you have this belief that nobody can do what you do, because the way that you've designed the system to provide the service to customers is based upon your own unique fingerprint. And you haven't yet figured out how to write the SOP of that fingerprint down to train somebody else to do what you do exactly how you do it. Many entrepreneurs fall into this illusion that the thing in which they do is so specialized that nobody else could do it, and therefore they never build a company that could actually be passed down to somebody else. And I'm telling you now that preparation is the key of becoming. It's all about the foundation that you're laying, and there is a procedure unfolding every single day, and there's momentum towards a certain direction of who you are and who you're becoming, and the things in which you're experiencing and the barriers that come up against you towards pursuing that goal is literally God Himself guiding you. A barrier, a no, a refusal, a denial is guidance. Because the law of guidance says that you will be guided. Whether you turn to the left or to the right, there will be a voice behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it. And it's when you turn and tune into that voice that you're guided. And that takes a reverence and a fear, the fear of the Lord. And you understand what the fear of the Lord is. The fear of the Lord is fear of disconnection. It's fear of disconnecting from your higher self. The fear of the Lord is a reverence towards not wanting to make a wrong choice that's going to disconnect you from your internal self, from your truest identity. So the question of who you are being is the answer to who you're becoming. And if you look at yourself truly, just like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth say, the future is an open book to those who can read, because the future is based upon karmic episodes that are unfolding, because there's a cycle and an end to everything. What has God been calling your attention? What are you ignoring? What are you not confronting in your life? It's normally, each one of us has 2 to 3 little areas of our life that is greatly affecting our human experience, but it's a bad habit of something that we're doing that we can confront and stop. And because we're not willing to confront this one area over here, God will not let us move forward in this other area over here. So our focus is on this one area and trying to grow it and trying to become better, or trying to lose weight, or trying to gain muscle, or make more money, or grow our company. We're focused on that goal, but there's this bad habit, this sin, there's this something that we're not confronting, whether there's some universal law that you're violating. And because you're violating that law in the expression of who you are being at that moment, the goal that you're going after and the thing that you're going after continues to elude you. When you are out of ethics, your power is weakened. Your foundation is shaky. And the things that you're going after seem to elude you and elude you and elude you because you're not being the person that can actually hold space for that thing. And preparation of yourself is how you receive the goals in which you dream. Preparation and working on who you're being is the way to receive that in which you dream. We think that it's going after and going after and going after that achieves goals. And it's not. What achieves goals is working on and working on and working on ourselves. Focusing on our statistics. What are we doing every single day? When we sit at our desk in the morning, by the time we leave, how productive are we? Can we be more efficient? Where are you falling short? Because when you look at where you're falling short, you can look at why that will lead you to understand why you're not moving forward. I can't tell you how many times I was trying to change a circumstance or earn more money or something in my life, and I would bang my head against a wall month after month after month trying to change a circumstance, and it just persisted and persisted and persisted until I started asking the right questions, which is, who am I being in this moment? And if that person is that person worthy of receiving that which I ask? And then I finally realize eventually that there's something inside of me that has to change before I can receive and hold space for that in which I ask. And then when I start working on myself, then the thing changes. Right? So we are on a journey, and that journey is unfolding, and we're being continually called over and over to better versions of ourselves and better expressions of ourselves. And then we wrestle with that. We wrestle with the pressure. We wrestle with the conflicts that arise. We wrestle with the inner conflicts of where we beat ourselves up and we hold ourselves over the flame, and instead of holding ourselves accountable, we beat ourselves. We blame ourselves. We judge ourselves. We beat ourselves down where you can't even stand up again. And instead of nurturing yourself and forgiving yourself and giving yourself grace and encouragement to go forward in the next moment, you hold yourself. Accountability is not guilt. And then we wrestle with it, and we wrestle, and nothing changes. Because on the inside is where the change occurs. And we're focused on the outside. It's only seeking the change, the outer expression of what that thing is, which is you. And there is an inner expression. And that inner expression is what you must focus on. Because that is who you are being. So I ask you, where are you falling short? Right? If we want to earn more money, we have to become a person that can earn more money, which means not only do we need to work on learning how to make the money, we also have to work on how to save it, how to invest it, and how to multiply it through the conditions formulas. Right? And learning is what separates us from the level beneath us. And the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, it talks about looking up at the sky and kind of seeing yourself. It says, look at thyself as if thyself was a young child. And that young child did not see and know the things that you as an adult now know. And he said, then thus imagine life. And that those above you that are operating on the higher laws of the universe, it's not that they're better than you or different than you. It's only the fact that by knowledge, the mysteries are no longer mysteries, and they have become somebody who operates on a higher level than you. But it's not the billionaires. When you look at somebody in life that's doing better than you, that's operating on higher levels, they're just operating with a different set of higher laws, right? So when you ask what's the difference between yourself now and yourself in a year from now, if you're earning 300 grand a year and you want to make $1 million a year, what is the difference between that? It's people. It's when you're making 300K a year, you're one kind of person. When you're making $1 million a year, you're another kind of person. You have to fundamentally change who you are in order to be that other person. And the journey from 300,000 a year to 1 million a year, that journey is the journey of becoming. And day by day, as you prepare your business infrastructure, your standard operating procedures, your technologies, and your job descriptions, and you prepare your company, right, in order to grow from 3 people to 5 people to 8 people to 9 people, right? As you're preparing that, you're also preparing yourself and becoming the kind of a man that can manage a team of 15 people versus a team of 3. Because unless you can manage a team of 15 people, you might not ever get your business to do $1 million a year, right? Maybe for your business to operate at 1 million a year, it's going to require a certain amount of infrastructure, and you haven't yet built out that infrastructure. You haven't yet seen it, envisioned it, written it down, and structured it, right? An org chart for a company doesn't change whether it's doing 300 million a year or 300,000 a year. The org chart for the company will be the same, except department heads become literal. So instead of a manager, you get a department head. So for example, you take a landscape lighting company, right? And if it's doing $1 million a year, right, it's gonna at least have an install manager, an install team, a sales manager, a couple sales people, a minimum of 2, at least 1 bookkeeper, right? At least 2 marketing people, right? So if you take a look at any company and you ask the right questions, what infrastructure does that system need to produce X amount? And when you work all of that out, you get an org chart, right? So now we've reverse engineered the vision and the dream. Okay, so if you have a vision and a dream for your company, right? Or yourself for that matter, in some kind of way, you have to reverse engineer what's required for you to be that person. And that's the groundwork that most of us don't do. And that's why in the scriptures it says, if you build your house on sand, when the wind and the storm come, it'll fall. But if you build it on rocks, it will withstand the temptations of the storm to fall. So if you ever built a company, any of us that's ever been up to $1 million a year and crashed down to nothing, the result was infrastructure. The reason was infrastructure. And so you have to work out all these details as you move along, you organize. But at the same time, in your head and in your mind, you have to imagine. You have to imagine the future state of the way that you want your company to be and reverse engineer it from that, from a logistical standpoint, based upon facts. So, so many of us try to work on our businesses and we don't know our numbers. We don't know what the facts are, right? You just have a vision. Oh, you want to grow your business to do $4 million a year, and that's what you're writing affirmations, but you've never sat down to ask, what does my company actually look like with $3 to $4 million a year? You've actually reverse engineered. You've actually imagined the end game, what it actually is, the end game, and then reverse engineered what it required to be that, and then what you required to do that. Because sometimes we have to fundamentally change our literal, like our temperance. Like we have to, change, right, our emotional, conditioning, right? Because, I'm telling you, people are going to experience stress, and you're going to experience stress and pressure based upon the large game that you're playing. Right? So little games are little pressures. Big games are big pressures, right? For example, the Super Bowl touchdown, right? When the clock's counting down, there's a lot of pressure at the Super Bowl, but the first, practice game, scrimmage of the season, who cares, right? So the game that you're playing determines the amount of stress. And often we overload ourselves with stress because we're going after and seeking after goals and games that we want to play that we're not prepared to handle. And because we haven't prepared ourselves, the stress is overwhelming, and we get to a breaking place, and then we give up on that dream, and we give up on that thing because we got broken. We broke ourselves because you went after a thing prematurely before you prepared yourself to have that thing. One example would be going out and getting a mentor, right? Somebody who's done what you're attempting to do before. and learning and gleaning from them and meeting with them once every 2 weeks or once every week, or having a phone call once a week and getting a mentor, going and finding somebody to say, hey, you have built this life and I'm wanting to build a life similar. Can you help me? Right? And that could help prepare you to become the version of yourself that you want to be, because you're emulating somebody who's done something similar. But we have to go through those phases, and it's preparing ourselves for the next phase that calls in the next phase. So we're locked in these conditions, and the conditions don't change until we pass the test of the condition that changed, because there's requirements on moving to the next level. And you need to work on yourself to be able to pass those requirements. You don't go apply for a job that requires a PhD when you don't have a PhD. And some of us, that's what we're doing. There's places and areas in our personal lives that we're not confronting and we're not bringing to God. And there's things that we're keeping from God and not telling the truth about. And there's things that we're not willing to confront. And there's people we're running from. And there's people we're supposed to be showing up for that we're not. But yet we're going through our day-to-day life, not confronting these areas. And then we're trying to become something different and push on this area over here, but it's not moving, and we're running up against barriers, and we're banging our head against the wall. And it's because we're not stopping to look at the fundamentals and the foundation of who we actually are at this moment. And it's when you stop and you look and you say, God, where am I failing to show up? What am I missing? So I urge you to begin asking questions. Begin asking questions to God. Begin asking questions to whoever it is that you worship or look towards to, whoever it is inside of yourself that you look for that. When you start asking those deep fundamental questions of who am I, who are you asking that to? And I implore you to begin asking questions, to begin seeking deeper revelations of yourself, because accountability is where responsibility begins. First, you have accountability. You hold yourself accountable. And then that means that you're now taking responsibility. When you're willing to take accountability and then become responsible, you begin to become cause. And when you begin to become cause, you begin growing power within you to change your circumstance and your conditions. But first it starts with acknowledgement and confrontation, and then it takes handling, which is responsibility, right? And then when you're able to do that, then you gain the inner strength in order to actually, the power, the literal life power to change your circumstance. Acknowledgement, confrontation, then handling, responsibility, and then inputting correct action and ethics, and then from that you gain personal power. Some of us, we can't touch our personal power because we're over here doing this thing in these other areas of our lives that we know are out of ethics, and it's holding us back. Where are you being held back and why? Remember, you have health, wealth, happiness, and love. And at MultiGen Mindset Institute, that's what we teach you to take a hold of, is you first start with your health, your wealth, and then your happiness changes, and then from there you can work on your love. But the first thing is your health, because that's the first nearest thing for you to grab onto in order to initiate change. Well, it's just because each one of us manages the areas of our lives a little bit differently. We put a higher set of priorities, We put a higher set of priorities and values on one thing rather than another. Well, it has to do with confrontation and responsibility. All we're trying to do in this talk is get you to ask questions, is get you to ask the right questions.